It was a cold Tuesday night when everything started. I live alone in a small apartment on the edge of the city. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom place above a grocery store. The kind of apartment where you hear every car horn, every stray dog, and
Is this your
every fight
delivery?
outside. Nights they were always noisy, except that night. That night was disturbingly silent. I was working late on my laptop, editing videos, when I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks on my door. At 3:07 a.m., I froze. No one visited me at that time. No one should be awake in this entire building at that hour. I checked my phone, no messages. I wasn't expecting anyone. The knocking continued, slightly louder this time. Knock, knock, knock. My heart tried to convince me that it was a mistake. The wrong apartment, a drunk neighbor, something normal. But deep down, something felt wrong. I walked toward the door as quietly as I could. My floorboards creaked beneath each careful step. I stopped right before the peephole, holding my breath. And I looked. Standing outside was a delivery man, black hoodie, cap too low to see his face, a large paper food bag in one hand. I felt a wave of relief at first. Maybe this was a mistake. Until he spoke. His voice was hoarse, scratched, like someone who swallowed glass. "Your order is here." My stomach tightened. "I didn't order anything," I said through the door. There was a pause. Then a slow, raspy whisper drifted through the door. "Yes, you did." Chills shot down my spine. "No, I didn't," I said, louder, trying to keep my voice steady. "You have the wrong apartment." Silence. Then he lifted the bag slightly, like offering it again. "Take it." I stared at him through the peephole. His other arm twitched unnaturally, as if he was trying to hold still, but couldn't. Something about him felt off. I stepped away from the door, not wanting to be close to it anymore. "I'm calling the cops," I said. He leaned closer to the door, his face now inches from the peephole. But his face wasn't right. The little I could see looked wrong. Skin too pale, jaw slightly unhinged like it didn't belong to him. His breathing became loud, heavy, excited. "Open the door." My whole body froze. "Go away," I squeaked. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He only breathed. A long, rattled inhale. A sharp, broken exhale. I backed away until I hit the wall behind me. The breathing continued for another full minute. Then it stopped. Complete silence. I forced myself to look into the peephole again. He was gone. The hallway was empty. But the bag was now on the floor right in front of my door. I stared at it. Then came something that made my blood run cold. The bag moved, just slightly, as if something inside shifted. I didn't touch the bag. Instead, I grabbed a broom from the kitchen and used it to drag the bag inside while keeping my distance. The paper crinkled as it slid across the floor. I set it in the center of the room and stepped back. It wasn't from any restaurant I recognized. Plain brown paper. No logo. Tied shut with rough twine instead of tape. My heart pounded as I stared at it. After a minute of silence, I grabbed a pair of scissors and cut the string. Slowly, I opened the bag. Inside was nothing. Just darkness. It was empty. But then a smell drifted out. A rotten, metallic smell. Like blood. I recoiled instantly, covering my nose. "What the hell?" I turned the bag upside down and shook it. Something small landed on the table with a soft tap. A piece of folded paper. I hesitated, then unfolded it. There were only 2 words, written in shaky handwriting. "Look outside." A chill swept up my spine. I didn't want to. I really didn't want to. But something compelled me. I slowly walked toward the living room window and peeked through the blinds. At first, I saw nothing. The dim streetlights flickered, casting long shadows on the road below. Everything seemed still. Then I saw him, the delivery man, standing perfectly still on the sidewalk, his neck craned upward, staring directly at my window. I flinched and dropped the blinds. My heart slammed in my chest. I backed away from the window, my breaths coming fast and shallow. My phone buzzed suddenly. A message from an unknown number. "Why didn't you open the door?" I dropped the phone. How did he get my number? Tears welled in my eyes as another message came in. "I brought you something special." And then, "Let me in." My blood ran cold. I didn't reply. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. Then came a sound that made me collapse onto the couch. Knock, 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 knock. He was back at the door. Harder this time, faster, more desperate. I covered my ears and curled up, praying he would go away. After a minute, the knocking stopped. Silence. Then, scratch, scratch, scratch. He was dragging something across my door. Something sharp. I couldn't take it anymore. I called the police. They said they were sending someone immediately. The scratching stopped. And then another message buzzed in. "They won't find me." The police arrived 12 minutes later. 2 officers came up the stairs, one older and stern-looking, the other young and tense. I opened the door cautiously. "Are you the one who called?" The older officer asked. "Yes," I whispered. "He was here, a delivery man who kept trying to get inside. They didn't take notes. They didn't ask for details. They walked right past me like they knew exactly where to go." The older officer opened the door fully and examined the hallway. "What did he deliver?" the younger one asked. "A bag," I said. "It was empty except for a note." They both turned to me sharply. "A note?" the older one asked. "Where is it?" I showed it to them. He read it quietly, then folded it and put it in his pocket. "What was he wearing?" the younger officer asked. "Black hoodie. Cap pulled low. Couldn't see his face." Both officers exchanged a glance. A worried one. "We've had reports of someone matching that description," the older officer said. "You're not the only victim." "Victim?" I repeated. He nodded. "We'll patrol the area through the night. Lock your door. Don't go outside." They left after that. I watched them walk down the stairs and disappear into the night. I should have felt safer, but something didn't sit right. Why did they seem so nervous? Why did the older officer keep looking over his shoulder? And why did the younger one whisper, "It's him again"? As they left, I closed the door and locked all 5 locks on it. The apartment felt colder now. I sat down on my couch, exhausted, trying to make sense of it all. Then, bzzz. My phone vibrated again. A new message. From the same unknown number. With a picture. I tapped it. It loaded slowly, then appeared fully. It was a photo of me, taken from outside my window, taken minutes ago, taken while I was talking to the police. My shaking fingers scrolled down to the next message. It was just one sentence. "They can't protect you." My hands were shaking so badly that I nearly dropped the phone. The picture showed my window from the street below. My silhouette was clearly visible through the blinds, talking to the police officers inside. He had taken it minutes ago, which meant one thing. He had come back, while the police were still here. My entire apartment suddenly felt unsafe, like the walls were made of thin paper rather than concrete. I shut off the lights instantly. Darkness wrapped around me like a blanket, and I crouched down behind my couch, heart pounding. Another vibration, another message. "I like your apartment." I clamped my hand over my mouth to stop a scream. Every instinct screamed to run, hide, jump out the window, anything. But my body refused to move. Another message arrived instantly. "You look better in the dark." That was enough. I grabbed a hoodie, slipped into my shoes as quietly as possible, and tiptoed toward the back door that opened to the building's fire escape. If he was watching the front, maybe the back was safe. The fire escape door creaked when I opened it, and I froze. Silence. Then, without thinking, I slipped out and closed the door softly behind me. I hurried down the iron stairs, my breath fogging in the cold air. When I reached the ground, I crouched, looking around. The street was eerily empty. The flickering street lamp threw long, trembling shadows across the uneven sidewalk. I stepped away from the building, pulling my hood lower. Then my phone buzzed again. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. There was a new message. A single question. Why are you running? My blood turned to ice. I spun around. The sidewalk behind me was empty. The alleyways were silent. The fire escape above me still swayed slightly from my descent. But he wasn't there. Or at least, I couldn't see him. My phone buzzed again. A picture this time. I tapped it with trembling fingers. It was a picture of the fire escape, taken from below, taken seconds ago. And in the corner of the image, barely visible, was a hand gripping the railing. A pale, bony hand. My breath caught. He was here. He was right here. I ran. Chapter 5. The woman in 2B. I sprinted down the alley behind my building, shoes slapping loudly against the pavement. I didn't have a plan, just the desperate urge to get away from him. I ducked behind a dumpster and gasped for breath, trying to listen for footsteps. Nothing. Only the hum of distant city noise. I peeked around the dumpster. Still nothing. My brain raced. If I went back to my apartment, he'd find me. If I stayed outside, he'd find me. I needed help. Real help. I remembered that the woman living in apartment 2B, Mrs. Alvarez, always stayed up late. I had seen her lights on many nights when coming home. She lived right above the building's laundry room, which had an outside entrance. I took a deep breath and made a run for it. When I reached the laundry room door, I pulled it open and slipped inside. The smell of detergent hit me immediately, but it was quiet, too quiet. I hurried through and climbed the stairs to the second floor. Her door was cracked open, only a few inches. Warm light spilled into the dim hallway. I approached slowly and knocked on the wood. "Mrs. Alvarez," I whispered. "It's me, from upstairs. I need help." No answer. "Please," I said more urgently. "Someone is following me. I think he—" The door creaked open wider. I stepped in cautiously. Her living room light flickered softly. The room was neat. Doilies on the furniture, framed photos on every surface, a half-finished knitting project on the couch. "Mrs. Alvarez?" I said again. Still no reply. Then I saw her. She was sitting in her recliner, facing the window, back toward me. Her shoulders slumped, head tilted slightly to the right. I exhaled shakily. "Mrs. Alvarez, I'm sorry to come in, but..." I froze. Something was wrong. Her chest wasn't rising. I approached slowly. My heart felt like it was climbing into my throat. "Mrs. Alvarez?" I placed a trembling hand on her shoulder. Her body slumped sideways. Her eyes stared blankly ahead. Her lips were parted slightly, like she was about to speak. But the worst part, her neck had bruises. Purple, finger-shaped bruises. My scream burst out before I could stop it. I stumbled backwards, knocking into a side table. A picture frame fell and shattered. My brain was spinning. He was here. He had been here before I arrived. I backed up toward the door. Then I heard something. A soft creak. Not from the living room, not from the hall. From inside the apartment, down the short hallway, near the bedrooms. I slowly turned. The hallway was dark, pitch black. Then, creak. A shadow shifted at the end of the hall. Someone was standing there, silent, tall, still, staring at me. My breath caught. Then a whisper crawled through the darkness. "You shouldn't be in here." I ran. Chapter 6. The Chase. I sprinted out of the apartment so fast I nearly tripped down the stairs. My lungs screamed for air as I reached the second-floor landing. Behind me, footsteps. Fast. Heavy. Coming closer. I bolted down the stairwell, taking steps 2 at a time. My hoodie snagged on something halfway down, yanking me back. For a moment, I thought a hand had grabbed me. I ripped it free and kept going. I flew out through the laundry room door and into the alley, nearly slipping on the pavement. I turned left. then right, trying to lose him. My phone buzzed again. I ignored it. I kept running until I reached the corner store at the end of the street. Its neon sign flickered, but the open sign glowed brightly. I burst through the door, startling the old man behind the counter. He blinked at me. "What's wrong, kid?" I gasped for breath. Someone's following me." He frowned. "You look terrified. Sit down, I'll call the police." BBBRRRRNG. The front doorbell jingled. Someone else had entered. The old man looked up. "Welcome." His voice cut off as his face went pale. I slowly turned. A man stood at the door. Black hoodie, cap low, head tilted unnaturally to one side. His breathing, deep and rattling, filled the entire store. He looked at me. Even through the lowered cap, I could feel his stare like burning coals. The old man behind the counter whispered, "Oh, God." The delivery man took one step forward. I bolted deeper into the aisles. The store wasn't big, just 4 short rows of snacks and a freezer section. I ducked behind a shelf, heart pounding so loudly I was sure he could hear it. The old man shouted, "Get out of my store! I'm calling the police!" No response. Then a thump. A body hitting the floor. The old man had fallen silent. I covered my mouth, fighting the urge to sob. Slow footsteps began between the aisles. Slow, deliberate, searching. I crouched lower, trying to make myself small. A shadow stretched across the tiles, long and distorted under the fluorescent lights. He was approaching my aisle. My only chance was the back room near the freezer. I waited. His steps drew closer, closer. My every muscle shook. Then he turned down the next aisle. Now. I sprinted toward the back door. He reacted instantly. The footsteps exploded into a sprint, heavy, furious, fast. He was catching up. I threw myself through the back room door and slammed it shut behind me. Hands slapped the other side instantly, pounding, scratching, trying to claw through the wood. I stumbled back, searching for something, anything, to block it. My hands landed on a metal shelf, and I pushed it against the door with everything I had. The pounding grew louder, more violent. The shelf shook. He was trying to break in. I stumbled backward and found another door, the emergency exit. If I took it, alarms would blare. But that didn't matter. I shoved the bar and burst into the night as sirens wailed behind me. I didn't stop running. Chapter 7. The Call. I ran until I reached the next street over. My chest hurt, my throat burned, my legs were ready to collapse. But I couldn't stop now. I ducked behind a parked car and pulled out my phone. There were 6 new messages from the unknown number. I opened the first one. "You shouldn't have left." Second, "You weren't supposed to run." Third, "I saw you in her apartment." My blood froze. Fourth, a picture. A picture of Mrs. Alvarez's living room, with me in it, taken from the hallway, taken behind my back, taken while I was inside. At the same time, I thought she was alone. My stomach twisted. Fifth message, "You scream louder than she did." I gagged. Tears blurred my vision. I opened the last message. It was a single sentence. "The police can't help you, but I can." Then, immediately after, my phone began to ring. Unknown number. He was calling me. I stared at the screen. It rang again, and again, relentlessly. My thumb hovered over the reject button, but something deep inside me whispered, "If I don't answer, he'll find me faster." With shaking hands, I hit accept. I lifted the phone to my ear. No breathing, no talking, just silence. Then, a soft, guttural whisper slid through the speaker. "Turn around." My heart stopped. Slowly, terrified. I turned my head.